Hello, namaste, 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 beautiful world. I hope you are well. So pleased to be joining you all for another IG Live. Just bear with me one moment as Reiki joins. There we go. Okay, so let's get Reiki Roop in there. Let's see. Roop. Invite. Wonderful. Hi, everybody. So if you are joining us for this IG Live, it's really, really wonderful to be with you. Let us know that you're here. Let me know that you can hear me. I'm really, really, really excited to bring you this beautiful live with Roop. So Roop we're already on Facebook, just waiting for you to join us on Instagram. So today, whilst we're kind of getting ourselves sorted, hi, Jessie. Hi from Chicago. Oh, it's really great to see you. So today we are going to be talking about how the celestial bodies influence us, influence our soul blueprint. Okay, so such an exciting and juicy topic. I'm really, really excited to do this with you all. So let's go live on Instagram with Roop. Yeah. Oh, let's see what's going on here. View, go live. Technical things. Hi, Ultimate. Hey, joining us from Florida. Amazing to meet you. Oh, hi from Tanzania. Wow, there's so many people from all over the world. Yes. Okay, here comes Roop. Thank you for everybody who's joining us. I'm so excited. Back in the UK now, Roop and I, and we are ready to go. Hey, Roop, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Just
can
bear
you
with
hear
me
me?
1 second. Let me just adjust my volume as well. Yeah. Just give me 1 sec. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Great, fantastic. Okay, so let's get into this live. We're back home, back in the UK, and we're ready to go.
Yep. Back in the UK, it's been a couple of days landing back.
Yeah. How's it been for you?
Yeah, it's been fine. It's been good. Settling back in.
Yeah.
It's good to be home.
Big change from Mexico, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Big change.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to be home after such a long time.
So I introduced the theme that we're going to be discussing today, just right at the beginning. So we're going to be talking about how these celestial bodies influence our being and influence our soul blueprint. Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so why don't you start us off then? So
Sure.
yeah, so start us off with, so you've been studying the Jyotish course, which is all about Vedic astrology. So I think that's a good place to start us off. Why don't you go for it? Explain a little bit about what you've been doing for the past 5-6 weeks.
The internet is just bear with me 1 moment. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
You're back. You're back now.
For a sec there.
You're buffering
Okay, that's
for a couple of
fine.
seconds.
Okay. Yes, so I have just finished studying with my teacher Anand at Sattva Yoga Academy in India. So I didn't go over there, but I was doing an online course in Jyotish. And Jyotish is Vedic astrology. So some of you might remember or have heard me speak about it in the last few weeks. I've been in a really deep dive immersion into Jyotish, Vedic astrology, and a very intensive course. So it was all kind of put together in a 6-week program, around about 200 hours of really studying very intimately this incredible science. So I'm really, for me, this is the missing link. It's kind of like, imagine having a jigsaw puzzle, and for me it was the centerpiece, the missing centerpiece. And now that I have that, I just feel so complete with the modalities that I'm sharing, and the way that I'm perceiving my existence. I'm perceiving our existence here on planet Earth, and our experience here has completely shifted. And as I say, it's given me this dimension that was kind of missing for me, to understand the broader context of our existence. Of course, we are human beings living on a planet in this incredible solar system, in an incredible galaxy, which is in itself a part of a universe, which is itself a part of a multiverse. So there's so many layers to this, and understanding our existence within that context, for me, provides us with a deeper level of understanding of how our consciousness is, how our consciousness shifts, how our body works, and how our soul's journey unravels over this dimension of time. So, I mean, that in a nutshell is what the benefits and the opportunities that this science and this practice brings. And I know we've talked about this, right? Slowly over time, we want to start bringing this wisdom and this knowledge more out into the public sphere, knowing that our community are really wanting this and really looking to this science and this practice to help them understand deeper layers and levels of their existence and consciousness.
Yeah, I think the magnitude of it all is incomprehensible. So it really needs that guidance and to help people hone in and actually find a way of making it visually digestible and understandable. Um,
Sure.
and I think, yeah, what you're saying, your journey, like this is maybe the missing piece for you. But I said to you yesterday, it's like you spent many years like studying the microcosm, and now this is the thing where you've actually gone out and looked at the wider universe, and and you'll be able to connect this all back in to everybody to help them on a day-to-day basis. And I suppose that's what you've learned, isn't it? How the stars or how the celestial bodies affect us on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, sure. And what I want to bring to this transmission today is I want this to be a bit of an overview, because we're going to be sharing more and more about this as time goes on. And I'm also mindful of making it kind of bite-sized and digestible. But today I want to just talk a little bit about the broader context of understanding astrology, of understanding the celestial bodies, the planetary configurations, the solar system itself. And then I kind of want to zoom out and overview that today, but then I want to zoom back in, as you mentioned the microcosm, and kind of come back into the microcosm, and so then understand how that broader context actually impacts us on a human level, right? So as a human, we have different layers. We have the biochemistry, we have the biophysiology, we have the charge, the frequency of the body, and we have the emotional layers, the spiritual layers, the astral layers, and all of that. And so I want to zoom back in and touch on that and how that broader context impacts our microcosm. And then I want to take a step back out again and touch on this idea of our soul blueprint, of the journey that we're on, our soul is on. And then again, so how do the celestial bodies actually influence our soul journey as a broader concept? Or so our soul journey, not just in this lifetime, but also past lives, future lives as well. That's what I want to kind of focus on today.
Okay. Okay, so where would you like to start then?
Okay,
How
so
it
let's
affects the
start.
microcosm.
Yeah, no, I want to start with the broader context first. And what I really want you to do is just come in and stop me and ask me to explain things differently, or just vibe off me, Roop, because you've been very much there alongside me as I've been studying this. And we together have gone into a really deep process with Jyotish, as we do with all of our spiritual teaching. So please make sure that this is really, really vibey. And there's going to be things that I'm missing. You're so great at remembering all the details. So I want you to jump in. And I just want everybody out there that's watching, that's tuning in, whether you're live or later on, please, please, please leave comments, ask questions. Let us know if this is resonating with you, if this is vibing with you. It's really, really important that we flow and we vibe off each other. So please, please leave a comment. Okay, so this is so epic, because understanding the broader context of how the planets work has really helped me to visualize and understand the body in a completely different way. So, I mean, we're both energy medicine practitioners, right? And we teach energy medicine. And at the same time, this idea of our frequency, which is the charge that we emit, the electrical charge. There are so many of them, electrical charges running through our body, but then this overall field, the biofield, I know you call it, some people call it the electromagnetic field, some people call it our charge, some people call it the chakras or the toroidal system, but essentially, or our auric field, we emit this very particular frequency, each and every one of us, and it is individual and can actually be located. And this field essentially is our main powerhouse, shall we say. This is the way of identifying us as electrical beings. And as I've come to really, really meditate on this and really understand that we are electrical beings, it's opened up a whole new dimension for me. So I can understand at a deeper level how we interface with nature, how we interface with the cosmos. So this word interface has been really important and relevant for me, and understanding how it is the hormones, for example, are influenced by the planetary systems, and then interface. That's our interface, and then interface with our organs and how that creates impacts and effects. So this interface is really, really important. And I'd like, if you're watching this and some of this sounds a bit too sciencey and out there, just come back to this idea of everything that I'm talking about is basically the interface of the body with nature. Okay. And there are many ways in which our body and our mind interfaces, interacts with nature. Okay. So somebody on Facebook said, welcome back. Amazing to be back. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with is the light that comes in from our solar system, from all of the different planets. Okay, but let's talk about first about the sun. So the sun and the moon are two of the most influential planets for us, okay? The sun, because it has such massive biochemical, physiological, electrical impact on us, as all the planets do. But the sun is our main sustaining life force because of the radiation from the sun and how we here on planet Earth, all beings, whether you're a human or an animal, a mammal or a plant, we've learned to harness the energy of the sun. Okay, so with plants, it's photosynthesis, and within the human body, we have very similar mechanisms. So we literally are able to absorb the radiation from the sun and take those packages, convert them into energy, and send them around the body. Okay, so that's why the sun is one of the most important planets for us. But when the light from the sun comes into our body, it actually regulates. So it actually comes in through the optical nerve and it comes in through the skin and creates this cascade of so many different biochemical and biological functions through the circadian rhythm, through the B-mel cycle, through the suprachiasmatic network. These are just a few to name, which I'm not going to go into, but you can look them up. These are just three systems, and the B-mel and the suprachiasmatic network go together. And the circadian rhythm. So these are examples of two major cycles that affect how our hormones work. They affect how cells in the body are transmitted. They affect how our brain works, how our digestion works. When the bacteria in our body comes more alive, is all affected by these cycles, which literally interface with the body through light coming in. So this light comes into the eyes, it affects the pineal gland, it affects the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. And these endocrine glands, these are the master glands of the body, send hormones, which are the chemical messengers which tell the organs, the tissues, and the cells of the body how to function. So that's just one example of how the radiation from the planets, the sun and other planets, affect the biochemistry of the body through that interface. Digestive output is a major one, a huge one, because the bacteria in our body are affected by the sun's radiation, are switched on at certain times, and certain energy channels from the sun come in and activate our digestive prana also. The sun's radiation also affects migration patterns on the planet I'm sure this is something familiar when birds might move and migrate to other countries and animals might migrate to different parts of a continent based on the cycle of the sun. We can also look at reproduction. So it's commonly known that the women's reproductive cycles, are influenced by the moon. So we're on a 28-day sex hormone cycle, and we have a bleed and we ovulate, and all sorts of different functions that govern our reproductive system are in sync with the moon. Some of you women might notice that you bleed on a full moon. Some of you might bleed on a new moon. Okay, but also men's hormones are very much activated and influenced by the lunar cycle. Now, that makes sense for me because the moon is the element of water, and it being such a close planet, it has, because of its electromagnetic field, it has the biggest influence on our water content. Okay, because it's so close. But the moon itself is a very absorptive planet. It absorbs the energy of the other planets. Okay, so I'm starting to bring in a little bit of the planetary context here. So if the moon is super absorbent and it's absorbing in the energy of the other planets, and then it's influencing us, the waters of our body. And we are what? 90% water? And it's the water that carries information. It's the water that supports our whole emotional system. It's the water that carries the charge as well in our body. So hopefully I'm starting to kind of show you and demonstrate how these greater celestial energies come and interface with us and then have this influence on the body. So it might not be something that you put your finger on and you say, okay, I know I'm being influenced by Saturn's energy at the moment, or I can really feel the pull of the moon. It might not be something that you immediately put on your finger, but put your finger on. But in many, many ways, the planets are all coming together, the energy of the planets interfacing with our bodies and impacting our physiological and biochemical process. And ultimately, these energies are telling the body what to do. They're signaling the body when to do something, when to switch on a certain function based on the radiation from the sun. And it again makes total sense because the sun is our life-giving, all-sustaining power. Now, these examples that I've given you, they make up our like electrical energetic systems, and they work either together or individually. So when we start to become consciously aware and we can bring a greater level of intention and we really work with these energies, like fully and embody these energies, we're really starting to bring ourselves into unity. So we're starting to work at a greater level, at a depthful level, with all of these systems working and joining together. And when we don't have that awareness and we become stagnant, then what can happen? We're not working with the energy in our body. We're not honoring the sun. We're not honoring these other planetary energies. Then what can happen is that we can default to an individual system. So, for example, our hormone system starts to work individually, independently of the electrical system, and things start to come out of alignment a little bit. What we want to do is bring things back online so that the electrical and the energetic systems can work together in tandem with the biochemical processes of the body.
Yeah, fantastic. Super interesting. An amazing explanation, Natasha, from within the body, major cycles and how it's influenced by the macrocosm, the celestial bodies. I'm just going to pluck out the circadian rhythm. Just push you to unravel and just explain a little bit more about that, because circadian rhythm is very much to do with the waking and sleeping cycle. And I think it seems like a very simple thing that everyone knows how to be awake, everyone knows how to be asleep, but the balance of those two parts of our day and night cycle are very influential in our health. So I just invite you to just if you can explain the importance of understanding the circadian rhythm, things like sleep hygiene, and its connection to light.
Yeah, and again, I'm just going to skim over this. And if anybody
Yeah.
out there really, really fascinated by this and wants to know more, please get in touch with us and make yourselves known. We would love to be able to direct more of our resources and know what kind of links to share, what talks to do, what content to cover on our courses and masterclasses. This is very much about us being guided by you and what's relevant for you. So if any of you are watching at the moment, you've joined, we are talking about how the celestial bodies, the planets, star systems, zodiac signs, how those influence our being, our physical body, our multidimensional nature, our emotions, our energy systems, and also our soul journey, our soul blueprint. So we're just doing a bit of an overview of this today, and we're going to see how you will respond to this so that we can do more transmissions in the future. Okay, so get my hair back here. Okay, so the circadian rhythm, and please jump in, Roop, as well. The circadian rhythm, as I mentioned before, and you've mentioned just there, is completely governed by 24-hour cycle of the sun. So it's about when the sun rises and the light and the radiation of our sun starts to interface with us, and when the sun sets and we start to go into a state of darkness. Okay, so for me, one of the two single most important factors of the circadian rhythm has been to do with, number one, the pineal gland, and number two, the microbiome. So this is the flora and fauna of bacteria that we are. We fundamentally, it's a miracle we don't look like. I mean, maybe this is what bacteria looks like, because we're more bacteria than we are anything else. And it's something that we often forget about, just how influential bacteria is for us. So both the pineal gland and the bacteria, the common denominator with this are the hormones. Okay, so when light is detected by the pineal gland, it switches on a whole cascade of hormonal responses in the body that tells the body how to function and when to function. So literally from the minute that we wake up, right throughout the day, but then also as we're sleeping, because when we're sleeping, there's so many important functions that are happening biochemically, electrically, and emotionally in the body as well, and brain, in the heart, everywhere. So it's really important for us to honor that this is first and foremost governed by the sun. So when we live with the sun, by the sun, in a natural way, we're allowing these functions to naturally happen. But when we live out of alignment with the natural way, this is where things start to come out of balance. As an example, when the sun goes down, the pineal gland knows, because it doesn't detect the sun's radiation and it doesn't detect light. And light is a particular wavelength, a particular frequency. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what this incredible piece of technology that we have within us is detecting through the eyes, is detecting light. But if we're bombarding ourselves with our phones, watching TV, being on our laptop till late at night, we're artificially flooding ourselves with light and telling the pineal gland that the sun hasn't gone down yet, and that confuses the system. But what that does is it means that the body doesn't start producing certain chemical functions that it actually really needs to do. And one, just as another example, one is that melatonin is secreted by the pineal gland when the sun goes down. And melatonin is a super antioxidant for the body. Like, there's nothing that we can eat in the world that is more powerful of an antioxidant that comes in and stabilizes our system. There's nothing more stable and powerful than melatonin. So we need to be producing our own melatonin in abundance. But if we're constantly bombarding ourselves with lights on, devices, we're completely pushing this out of whack. So fast forward to 2021, where a year plus into this pandemic situation, it makes sense that we're at a point where something like a virus is really impacting us, because immunologically, as humans, we're massively impacted by watching TV, being on our phones till late at night. And, just even that itself is having a single, very, very influential impact on the chemical functions of the body. And our immune system is suffering as a result of that misalignment. So that's just one example of how the circadian rhythm governs very important functions that make or break us as human beings and our health and our well-being.
Yeah, and if I just jump into that, that's really good. So also in the eye, for example, the eye has a detector in it which detects the day and night perception of day and night, and it's called the third receptor. And it wasn't really found a long time ago. It was only found in our recent past I think it might have been like the 70s or 80s. I can't remember now, but that's not very long ago. And I find it interesting how technology has been made and completely avoiding this notion and knowledge of how light affects our sleep cycle. And maybe because we didn't know when the technology was introduced how everybody would be on it till late at night. Probably that was hard to kind of predict and work around. But now we can see now technology is trying to come back and fix this error which it made. So you have your warm light screen apps to make it more of a red color. You can see you've got the glasses which block blue light, and they could kind of have a red or orange hue. So yeah, I'd really advise people to get a hold of some piece of kit like this, whether it's the glasses that block blue light or it's the apps which change your screen to a warmer hue. I really advise that. And like I have mine set to come on, it's called Night Light on most phones now. It's actually integrated into most phones infrastructure. I have it set to come on at 6:30 p.m. as the sun's going down. I have it come on immediately. So if I look at my phone, it's giving me an orange glow rather than a harsh blue light. And it's this blue light, is this wavelength, this frequency, as Natasha said, this is the frequency which disrupts via the third receptor, disrupts everything that's happening in the pineal gland and makes the pineal gland feel it's still daytime. And so it doesn't go into its rest and repair mode, and it doesn't produce melatonin. And just to bring it back to what we were talking earlier about the electric universe theory and charge, because how antioxidants work, and as Natasha said, melatonin is our ultimate antioxidant. They are all about balancing charge. That's what ultimately antioxidants doing, and antioxidants are going in and sharing their electrons, their negative charge, wherever there's a surplus of positive charge in the body, and it's the positive charge. Ungrounded positive charge is what causes inflammation, inflammatory responses, immune issues, and basically ill health, and causes further down the line dis-ease. So it's very important for our charge, our electric charge in our body, to be balanced and grounded. And so melatonin and all the other major antioxidants like glutathione and NAD and things like that, NAD plus, they're all basically built to share and balance the negative and positive charges. So that just shows, like, again, how the sun, apart from it just being a physical thing, it also is working on an electric, energetic level. And you can see how that light coming through our receptor, through our eye, the third receptor, into the pineal gland, and ultimately goes out and does work on the electric level, on the energetic level, balancing these charges. So I just wanted to mention the link there.
Sure.
Because there's this word like antioxidant is passed around, and people are like, oh yeah, it reduces oxidative stress. Okay, but what is oxidative stress? So once I think you understand that oxidative stress is actually a charge-related imbalance. Yeah, it happens ultimately because those things like free radicals, they're called, are positive free electrons that are going wild through the body. They latch on to parts of our inner tissue, our cell, and they're trying to basically harness positive charge, or it's trying to create a molecule. That's what causes disease. And but that all starts because of an imbalance of charge rather than a physical molecular imbalance. It's an electrical imbalance. Yeah, so I just wanted to add that in there.
So yeah, I'm really starting to understand things in a completely different way, and more in terms of the electrical nature of the universe than anything else, because this for me again is like the interfacing dimension of our reality. So I want to kind of dive in now a little bit with that in mind into the planets and the charge of the planets. And now this is really mind-blowing, and I'm still learning. I'm still getting my head around, visualizing really how the planets energetically, in terms of their electrical charge, actually work. Okay, so this is going to cause some mind expansion, and then just go away and integrate and trust that over time, these concepts, these ideas will become more embodied, and you will draw in the wisdom actually really from the universe yourself, and really understand things in time. Because sometimes, well, always, the mind is trying to cognize something and understand something, but it can only do that through its past experience. And when we're sharing new information, if this is new to you, then it's the mind is trying to work it out with past information. So just be kind of patient and allow this information to come through from the universe. So the planets themselves have their charges. They have their own electromagnetic frequencies, right? And again, lots of different channels of electrical charge within that planet all come together to create this force, this electromagnetic field, okay? And we are characterized in this relative reality, this 3D reality, by polar opposites. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about duality. And the fundamental nature of reality is that we have polar opposites. And this comes from the fundamental dimension of energy. So the charge, okay, of something, there's a positive and a negative charge, and these very much repel each other. Like attracts like, but polar opposites repel, okay? So that one fundamental law of nature is part of what governs planetary orbits, okay? So first of all, the planet orbits, it spins on its own axis, okay, because of this charge, this polar opposite of a planet. So imagine Earth, okay, tilted at its 23 degrees. We have a North Pole and a South Pole. And a part of how the Earth continues to spin on its own without an external force is because this polar opposite is snapping it round. It's doing that. Okay? So it's creating the rotation of the Earth on its axis. And because it's tilted, it can sustain a momentum of this charge creating the orbit. So that's happening. And then the planet itself is orbiting the sun. Now, what's happening is the planet is trapped within, or not, I wouldn't say trapped, but influenced by the gravitational force of the sun, but also of the other planets in the solar system. So I'm going to try and kind of get this down in a really basic way. So the orbit of the sun, of the Earth around the sun, is in a direct dance with all of the gravitational forces of the sun, but also all the other planets. Okay, so all the planets keep each other and keep themselves within these particular orbits. So all the planets are orbiting the sun. Okay. And then the electromagnetic fields of all of the planets are completely different because they're made of completely different chemicals, different constituencies, different types of rock and crystal. Everything is a crystalline, mathematical, crystalline, geometrical configuration, and this gives out energy, particular energy frequencies. So this is all different. And these energies are literally what we on planet Earth as beings are pummeled with. We are being pummeled with at any one time all of the energies of all of the planets within our solar system. So as some of the planets come closer to the Earth, because you see the planets are all at different densities because of their different organic makeup. So they're moving, they're tilted, their axis is different. The weight is different. So the rate in which they're orbiting is different. The rate in which they're orbiting around the sun is different. And so sometimes you have planets overlapping planets, which is what we call retrograde. So we talk about Mercury retrograde a lot. And so this is when Mercury is very fast moving. It sort of overlaps the Earth, right? And it creates this illusion of moving backwards. It's not really moving backwards, but it creates this illusion, and it creates more than anything confusion in the psyche. And so this is just an example of how the energy itself, this fast moving energy, impacts the electromagnetic field of that planet as it comes closer, very much influences and impacts the Earth and us on the Earth. Okay, so at a basic fundamental level, this is what is happening. We are these beings on a planet which is constantly being inundated with energy, charge from other planets, from the radiation from the sun, from the moon. And then the Earth itself has its own frequency. And that is, we are antennas of the Earth. It comes in through our feet, and we are very much influenced by the energy of the Earth itself. So when we start to think about the journey that we are on as humans and the journey we're on as souls, this is where things start to become a bit more abstract. That energy that's coming in from the solar system, from the celestial bodies, is interfacing with our biochemistry, interfacing with our charge. And that creates physiological impacts and also emotional impacts on us. Okay. Our emotions can be influenced by these energies that are coming in. Okay. And the particular frequencies and what those frequencies ignite within us, what these frequencies switch on, the way in which that particular energy comes in and interacts with a particular organ, with a particular gland, will determine the energetic effect, the emotional effect that we have. So, as an example, Saturn is a very dense, heavy, slow moving, powerful planet. And when the energy of Saturn is influencing us, it often enables us to go within and to face our challenges intimately. So, you know, the energy of Saturn, it just helps to like bring things up to the surface. And the idea is that Saturn is a great teacher. And it's reminding us that our challenges are our greatest teachers. It's up to us, like how we actually, you know, interface with that and how we respond to that. And our level of consciousness determines that. And that's why astrology is so powerful, because when we know that Saturn's going to be influencing us strongly, then we can put practices in place. We can remind ourselves of the opportunities that this brings, and we can really actually harness the energy of Saturn to our advantage. Okay. But in this transmission, we're just focusing more on how it is that that energy of Saturn interfaces with us and brings up these opportunities for us to evolve and grow. And so in the context, using that as a context for our soul journey, this is very much a part of our growth and our evolution. If we're able to harness that energy from Saturn at these important times when Saturn's coming into our field to influence us, then it helps us make leaps and bounds in our soul journey. It helps us evolve at a faster rate, with more grace and ease. We harness that opportunity to make leaps forward in our soul's journey.
Wow. Super cosmic, super powerful.
Super cosmic and powerful. And I'm just feeling also just really mindful to not go on to
Yeah.
further
It's,
than this, because it's a lot. And I know there's something else that's really there that I feel for us to cover in another video, which is how the planets impact our soul's journey in a broader context. So the soul journeying through past lives, this life, and future lives. And that whole thing is bringing in a whole different dimension to understand what time is, and to understand like the astral nature of us and the planets, and how the timeless dimensions kind of influence the whole, the whole of the soul journey. So I just feel like actually we're 43 minutes in, and that would be a really big topic to launch into.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just round up then.
Yeah, let's do that.
So everything we spoke about today, why don't you just what's the takeaway things for people to go in and tune into and digest, and if look into it a bit further, if you can just pluck out and summarize what's the takeaways from today?
Yeah, and that's an amazing question. So I really want people to tune into what their takeaway is from this. And my invitation is to allow the notion of the planets, the notion that the celestial bodies have a profound impact
Yeah.
on us as human beings, as souls, also. That this is a fundamental nature of our reality, and the impact that the celestial bodies have on us are multifaceted, multi-layered, multidimensional. And my invitation is just to see how this sits with you, how this feels for you, how this resonates and vibes with you. And is this something that you see as part, or you feel as part of your evolution? Because if it is, then there is so much more magic to explore in relation to learning about the celestial bodies, learning about astrology, moving towards perhaps doing a reading with me or with one of the other Jyotishis. There is so much potential in each and every one of us. And the astrological configurations at any one time, the astrological configurations at the time of our birth, particularly, is like imprinted into us. And understanding this and using that as a blueprint to map out and see how our life is unfolding, and to be able to bring context, like why we experience what we experience, why those challenges had to happen in that way, why I was stuck in that place for so long, why I had that intense accident, or whatever it is. Bringing this dimension really helps us to gain clarity on our soul path and feel like confident about ourselves and where we're headed, giving ourselves that extra rasa, the juice, the essence of life this dimension brings. So I know those of you on
Instagram's just
here, I
buffering.
feel Instagram is I think there's some, because I'm recording on my phone, I think there's some loss of the signal. But my invitation is for you to tune in to how this is resonating with you. And please get in touch with me if you have any questions, or if there's anything you want to share or discuss. My invitation from this, if you want to take away action point of how you're going to, what you can do to start working with the astrological and celestial bodies, my recommendation is to start working with the sun and start working with the moon in a really basic way. Waking with the sun, sleeping with the sun, making sure you have your, minimizing devices at night, eating at the right times. This is something that we're going to be sharing more in the future, Roop and I. I think Roop's signal's not been very good, which is why he's disappeared off of Instagram. Really starting to align to the sun, making offerings to the sun, rituals to the sun, charging your crystals in the sun, charging yourself in the sun. Just really starting to work with the most basic of our planetary systems, the sun and the moon, and really honoring our cycles, our reproductive cycles, our bleed as women. And for men, our hormone cycles. There's a joke out there like, oh, men also get periods. And there's a lot of truth behind that, because Men's hormones are also governed by the moon, influenced by the moon. And men do have times of the month where they feel a little bit different, maybe a bit lower in energy, or maybe more vibrant in energy. And that's what these jokes are referring to. So really honor that your emotional, your energetic sensations are very much highly influenced by the celestial bodies. But remember, in each and every moment, we have a choice. We have a choice as to how we respond. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining. It's been really beautiful to be with you. Really exciting to connect more in the future. So have a beautiful day, and yeah, we'll be seeing you soon. Namaste.